Please find your seats. We're about to get started. Thank you very much. I'll introduce myself more properly in a few minutes, but right now we have our very, very good friend May Sam here has very generously offered to start us off in a good way with a prayer. So May, thank you so much.
I love this technology. It's really awesome. My voice is like way up there in this beautiful building, this beautiful space. And to do the blessing, a prayer for my dear one. So honored to be here for you today, my dear. It's retirement, really. And it's, it brings back memories with me and my late husband, with you, in our first steps and the very first time doing the blessing in Camosun. I believe it was at Interurban campus at the time. But my prayer for you is for every day and every night, your future, and for strength in your heart, healing in your heart, and blessings for you in each and every way with your family. I always express that family is our medicine. To be with family is medicine. And also, the family here is medicine. And I just had to say that before I do the prayer. And that's going to be included in my prayer, my thoughts and prayers for you. And I love you so much, sweetie. I really love you. And, my traditional name is Switstisia. And I was born in Malahat Nation, and my first language is Hulkaminam. So I say the prayer in Hulkaminam. I speak to the Creator, and I ask Him to send all the blessings down. And I truly believe in the prayer. I really, truly believe in the blessings for strength for each and every one, to take care of you and your footsteps here in your workplace. For the students, our babies, I call them my babies, all of them. And I pray for them at home when I light my candle for their day here, their education, and also the immediate family. I'm going to do the blessing in Hulkaminam and translate it into English. Hajda. Kunamits nas man say mana say to Saunders Gray, Slalom say, Masi, Hajda Tito Siam, Hajda the Mokri Tito Nama, Yea, Kanaka, and Tomo, Masi, Hajda. Hajda, Kusni, Lalam at the Aysari, you gone from Stuch the Mux Quaily, Mux Nate. Masi Hajda. Zichumi Lalam at the Mux Liquor, because me eros, glucose, the Mux Quaily, Mux Nate, Hajda Tito Siam. Slacken Stuch the Faf and Tummel, E. Tanalagonin, Wasanich Tummel, Hajda Tito Siam, E. The dots on Wayne's, Nasi, Lalam at all, Tito at all. Hajda Tito Siam. I praise and I thank the Creator for a blessing for all my dear ones, each and every day and each and every night, and especially for my dear one, Janice, in your retirement for this beautiful event today. I ask the Creator for a blessing for each and every one here with you today, a special occasion, to take care of you and watch over you on your retirement, to give you a helping hand, give you strength in each and every way. and also for a blessing for all my brothers and sisters here. Bless them in each and every way and take care of them. And also for the students that come through and get their education here. Bless all the students. Haitcha. And a blessing for each and every one of our special guests here today with us. For our dear one for retiring today, I praise and thank the Creator. And I love you. Take care.
How beautiful. Haichka. I feel this house just filled up even more. Next we have our dear friend Skipper Dick, to welcome us here and say a few words.
My dear friends and relatives, my traditional name is Lachichalach, so I know my family and I know my land. The beautiful thing about this, like your names, I can go anywhere in the world and I know I belong somewhere. I've shared that with a number of university students who they were sort of not so much bullied, but were told to change their name because it was too hard to pronounce. But I shared that same story about what my name was all about. And no, they said, okay, we're going to stick with our own name. But anyway, just one thing I want to make sure that I say to you before I do the welcome is that just so that it's a clearer understanding, I'm not telling you what to do with our ways or telling you this is the way to do that. I'm just sharing with you There are 19 tribes of the Coast Salish and some of the rest of the from the rest of the island that they do the same kind of thing. Is to make sure that when you open the doors to the heaven, you start with a prayer. Because we're told from a very early age that anytime there's more than one person or two or more people meeting like this, our relatives are here too. So we'll open up the door from their journey so they can see that things are going well. And I can assure you that they'll be happy here. Because over the years, well, I've only got 2 hours, so. Just trying to remind myself to keep it short. But anyway, where was I? There's so many wonderful things that have happened, and the biggest example, or the best example I've seen is that on graduation time, we have what we call our dignitaries, our chiefs, and our elders sitting in the crowds watching their graduates. They're not saying anything. They're just nodding their heads, yeah. That's where I want my children to be. Camosun has gone out to the communities to find out what they want for to be in a community. They didn't just talk about being a community, they lived it. And it was really showing. When we had the census for the BC, we had something like 4 university students in the whole of BC. But that was because of enfranchisement. But that was way late. Changes came on. Now we have hundreds of graduates in university and trades. So wonderful to see the doors of opportunity opening up all over the place. Because the people are not just staying away from home because they're too expensive to work at home. They're going home and making sure that they're taking that knowledge home. So I really say haichka, real big haichka to the college for taking that big step to make that move to find out what the communities really wanted. Just about 2 hours, sorry. But the welcome is one of those real opportune times that I really cherish because it was a way that was handed down from our old people to make sure that the canoe pullers that came in from all around the world were welcome. They're fed, rested, and their supplies were replenished, and they're on their way again. It was so wonderful that today in contemporary times, we're replenishing their young minds with knowledge, worthwhile knowledge from here in the trades and the university to send our young ones off in a real good way. And then when our folks that are on their journey see that nice thing happening, they can go back on their own journey. We're not holding them back. So these kind of things don't just happen. We have people like Janice that really work hard to, Nella and all the rest of you that spend that valuable time talking about knowledge and sharing it. And I just want to say that on behalf of our community, the Lekwungen people, welcome to our territory. Have a real wonderful afternoon. Bye. Pause for applause.
to May and Skip. I feel grounded now, and I feel this house even more full with love and with all our ancestors here with us. So I'm going to just introduce myself and speak a little bit about what we can expect for this afternoon in our honoring of our dear loved one, Janice Simcoe, our fearless leader. Nugwa Iksamga, Ayuklan Laguayastums. I've introduced my Kwakula given name, which is Iksamga, given to me from my Coon family from the Quikwasutnuk First Nation. I am a grateful visitor who's been living and playing in Lekwungen and Wasanich territory since 1977. I feel very, very blessed to have had interactions with these communities. My soccer coach is here. I have to say that one of the ways I would get in trouble if I didn't, that a lot of our interactions with community, there's cultural connections as well, but we have soccer connections, often on the field friendships, including Skipper, who I think won 12 prizes at our last T-Birds Looney Tooney. So we've got many, many dear friends here from across the nations, and I'm grateful to be here. My English name is Ruth. I'm the Indigenization Coordinator here at the college. But I was a student at the college, starting in 1996. I'm not going to do a lot of sharing today because we have a lot of speakers, but I do need to share that Janice has been the leader of many name changes, what has become Aichkolo in the Center for Indigenous Education and Community Connections for 31 years. I feel, yes. I feel very honored to have known her for 26 of those years. And we were talking, was it just a couple days ago, about she mentioned the shoulder pads, but we were talking about the ponytail and the big 80s glasses going on. That's when I met Janice. And just speaks to her commitment to students. That's when I met her, when I first became a student here at the college 26 years ago. And just have seen nothing but commitment to Indigenous students, to Indigenous community, to love. She's really, really led our department with so much love, and she's created a family, and I'm not gonna look over there and cry. I don't know if I wore the proper mascara today, so I will, I'm gonna do my best there. So we're here to honor Janice. We have different speakers, presentations, some songs to acknowledge Janice today. In this beautiful, beautiful house. Skipper's younger brother, Butch Dick, had the vision for this, for Nutsamat, which is a Lekwungen term translating into unity or working together. It's one of the examples of a way where there was a vision from community that was brought to Janice, and Janice was one of those people. She's probably won't want to take too much credit because that's Janice, but was instrumental in making this this building happen with, of course, so many other community members. So we have, as I said, we have a few speakers. I'm going to invite our new president, Lane Trotter, up next. Before I do, I have to say that as I said, we have a full agenda today. And for those of you who are familiar with our community and our cultural gatherings, our teachings around that is that things go as long as they go. Sometimes we can be there till 2, 3, 4, 5 in the morning. I have been tasked to go against these teachings in this best of both worlds, modern world that we live in. So I am tasked with keeping us on track as best I can. We're hoping that there will be time at the end for some open mics, but the afternoon will be wonderful, and it will have a life of its own, and we're going to hear some just wonderful, wonderful stories, I'm sure, about our wonderful Janice today. With that, Lane.
So I'm not sure if that last comment was aimed at me. I had planned to have us out of here by 1 a.m. So I just want to first start by acknowledging that Camosun College is located on the traditional territories of Algonquin and Wasanich peoples, and we thank them for supporting our college and our students. And I also just want to take a moment to say, as always, thank you to Skip and to Mary for being here today to help us honor Janice. Every time I see Skip and Mary, it is a blessing for me and always very special. And I also want to say to our elders, to our honored old ones, to my colleagues, faculty, support staff, students, friends, board members, thank you for being here today to help us honor an amazing colleague, Janice Simcoe. But today is bittersweet. I'm so happy that Janice gets to retire. I've been working with the federal government to try and prevent that by changing the retirement rules. I was unsuccessful. But I know Janice has worked so hard these last 31 years. And if anybody has earned their retirement, it's her. So I want to talk a couple minutes about some of the amazing things that Janice has done for this institution. And so Janice, I'm going to embarrass you a little bit, just to talk because you don't like to talk about some of the things that you've been involved with. And I'm just going to be skipping over the mountains because you've done so many things. So, she's been a trailblazer, building a Squalwyn over the last 30 plus years, 31 years. Her work has resulted in Camosun being the leader in British Columbia on working with First Nations, both landholders and urban Indigenous communities, and with the Métis community. We have elders from those communities, from the Algonquin, from the Wasanich peoples, from our urban Indigenous communities, and from the Métis community, who are here to support our students and help them in their journey of education. And I think about the students who come from away, if they're from a community in the north, or from the east, and they're here. If they're from a community, I came from a community when I went to education of 5,000 people. Vancouver was a culture shock. Never mind 5,000 people. What if it's from the village of 100 people? And you're in Victoria for the first time. What do? Our elders are there to steady them so that they can be successful working with their teachers, with our faculty. Esqualin has built support for our students, over 1,200 Indigenous students at this institution, but has also led Camosun College forward with truth and reconciliation, talking about what's happened in the past and how we need to go forward together, recognizing what's happened, being truthful about it, having those hard conversations, but how do we make sure that we're moving forward together to build a future for everyone? Talking about indigenization, looking at different ways of knowing the world. Decolonization. And one thing in my 5 months that I've seen at Camosun College is this institution is committed to all of those values. This has included the creation of our TTW course. I took the course with Ruth. She's awesome, by the way. For those of you who don't know it, she's awesome. And there were some tears, I will say that, and Ruth wasn't the only one. But for those of us who have taken the course, it has given us an appreciation, and me included, to understand the impact of colonization, to understand what the landholders have gone through, and to understand how we can try and honor them. So I know that the small list I've talked about of Janice's accomplishments have involved many, many people, and that's why Janice would never put herself there. She'd just say, this is what my colleagues have done. But Janice, you've been the leader and the catalyst to make that happen for this institution at the college for the last 30 years. to bring us to where we are today, and that's enough. So there are many, many other accomplishments that I could mention, such as the relationship with the Wasanich School Board. Kendra, hi, thank you for being here. I just had a chance to meet her last week, and it was awesome. And the other members I noticed from the Wasanich School Board, some are here as well. Thank you for being here. And it was my honor to meet you. Our relationship with our elders, Mary and Skip, and our urban Indigenous leaders. Our Indigenous awards to support Indigenous student success. And how do we move together as one? And Janice is always humble. She has taken the time with me because I can be a little frenetic, a little full of too much energy, and has spent a lot of time, and I've learned so much. And that is why, when you retire, I, again, don't want to lose that connection. And there's some things that we can still work on that are so incredibly important. And I look forward to that. But every day at this institution, I will see your influence across the college. So although you retire, you won't be forgotten. Although you retire, you are now built to go into this organization. And the work that we do on truth and reconciliation and indigenization and decolonization. Wonderful time. So Janice, let me finish by saying you're an amazing colleague, and I think many of us see you as our college's wise elder. And I know that might be a bit too soon, but that's how I see you. When I've come to you for advice and asked about how to do things. And I'm looking forward to continuing that relationship and making sure that this institution moves forward. So thank you for what you've done. You've more than earned your retirement, but I have to tell you, I'm going to miss you. So with that, I just want to say thank you, Janice, and all the best for what you've done for our institution.
Thank you, Lane, for those wonderful words. Apparently Ian has control over, he can stop a golf cart over here, but he doesn't have control over the helicopters, so we'll work on that. Yeah, that was our special guest. Oh, here's guitar coming. Thank you. Moving along, acknowledging today, many of you might remember that today, May 27th, marks the 1-year anniversary of the reveals, the 215 reveals into Kamloops of the St. Joseph's Mission Indian Residential School. There were 250 reveals of small bodies found on the school grounds. Almost a year ago, within a week of that happened, our dear friend, I don't see he may be here at some point, but he's not, Jasinkton, otherwise known as John Elliott, our dear friend, was at the college, and he was in a meeting that Janice and I were at. And the agenda of that meeting switched because of those reveals. And Jasinkton was wonderful enough to share some of his insights in regards to, of course, we know about Orange Shirt Day and the significance of that color. And what Jasinkton had shared was that we need to keep wearing orange, whether it be a bandana or a pin. We need to keep the conversations going. And this will be another, Janice is going to be embarrassed all afternoon. I'm going to just look over and another example of where community spoke and Janice went with that. And right now, I'd like to invite our I'm just going to say Madam President, Sherry Bell, to come and stand up And I didn't speak. Carrie, would you like to come and stand up? There's no pressure to speak. You're welcome to speak because we have a couple dear friends. So what came from that? What came from that conversation? And acknowledging that these reveals touched all our hearts in different ways. And there's a story to be told, but I want an opportunity for Sherry and so Carrie Newman. Carrie, you have the opportunity to speak. I haven't talked with him, so that's why I'm giving him the option. Is the artist on these incredible heart and hands pins. Carrie is a Kwakwaka'wakw artist that was in contact with Janice through this. So I'm going to pass the mic over to Sherry, and they're making their plan right now. Okay, I think they got it out. Okay, sort it out. We wear the pins, and you can see all around the room many people have Carrie's artwork, Janice's design. and why? Why am I standing beside Carrie? He said, you go first. We're wearing the pens, and we will continue to wear the pens. When Carrie first created the design, and we all had it on our computers here. Janice got permission from Carrie. Then Carrie and Janice created the idea that he will talk about with the pins. And as a college, what we wanted to do is to keep the conversation going, to never forget, and to also make sure our community understands and asks questions. And so for the longest time, we've been wearing the pins so that people will ask us questions, people in the community that aren't associated with University of Victoria or BIU or Camosun or UVic. They will ask, what does the pin mean? And then we can tell them, and then people won't forget. And so that's my part of the story, and I'm going to just pass it over to Carrie.
Thank you. It's amazing how different things come together. And so this time last year, I was raising a pole at Oaklands Elementary, which is just down the street here. And we'd made the pole with all the students. And so we'd kind of started to call the project over the 2 years that we've been working on it, Hearts and Hands, because it was, the kids were there with their hands on the tools, helping to make the totem and bringing their classwork out to the totem. And so kind of as a way to acknowledge that, I came up with the idea of putting kind of a wall or a blanket of hands as a backstop around the pole. And so we got all the kids to put their handprints, and all the teachers and the community members there to put their handprints, and we sandblasted them into these wooden panels that stand behind the totem. We raised the pole on the day that the news from Camosun came about the confirmation of 215 plus unmarked graves. And so that morning was filled with hope and inspiration and beauty and children's voices. And the afternoon was filled with the reminder of how much work we have to do. So out of that kind of polarity of those two moments, I came up with this design where I put the hands in the form of a heart. Meanwhile, Janice was hearing feedback from community about pins, and when she saw this design, she asked me at one of our reconciliation family gatherings what I thought about a meeting around an idea she had. And she brought forward this idea of making a pin that could be worn any day, so that the days that your orange shirts don't fit the event, or that maybe you don't have 17 or 25 shirts like I do, and you need to change your wardrobe once in a while, you could wear the pin with anything. And I thought it was such a nice idea, and she did this design with the hearts and hands in mind. And so we talked about what it means. And it means You know, like the hearts represent why reconciliation matters, why we do the work we do. And the hands represent that work. And it's the work of many, right? And I thought, what a great idea. And so with Janice's leadership, we got all of the educational institutions on Vancouver Island to agree to participate. And it's been raising money for scholarships, for various different kinds of Indigenous educational initiatives based on the institution. And it's also supporting Orange Shirt Day itself. So the Phyllis Webstab's Society. And I could stand here and probably take another 2 hours if you want me to, Skip, filled with all of the things that I've had the opportunity and privilege of doing with Janice. But this shirt, I wore it with purpose, is the design that's on those pins. And it's, I think, another way that your work, Janice, will continue to reverberate through our community. And seeing as I have the microphone, I just want to remind you that even though you're retiring, that we still have a lot of work to do. So, give it a fun.
Thank you, Carrie. And where did you get that one? Is it on sale at UVS?
No, we made these ones through Cycling BC. So we can, I think that the ordering window will open up again soon.
Thank you, yeah, that's incredible. Thank you. I get to say a few words about Janice, and I want to first connect it back to what Carrie was talking about with hearts and hands. Tall Carrie, short Sherry. There we go. And I think symbolism and metaphor is a really powerful way of learning, and certainly the hearts and hands represents what Carrie and Janice both do on a daily basis, is give their heart. But giving your heart is one thing, but if you can't use your hands to actually action things, things don't change. And so I want to thank you both for your creativity and idea of the pins and how this can live on forever. Skip and May, thank you for opening us in such a beautiful way. I've been a visitor on the Lekwungen territory for almost 27 years, and I'm happy to be here today to honor our colleague and friend, Janice Simcoe. And Janice and I met through Nella a number of years ago. When I was superintendent in the school district, Nella said, we've got to get Janice to come and talk to principals. She has done some work on integral theory and the 4 quadrants, indigenizing the 4 quadrants, and it's powerful. And so I said yes, and Nella got a hold of Janice. Janice and I spoke on the phone a few times, and she came to talk to our administrators and changed my whole way of thinking and a lot of people in the school district at that moment. What she talked about wasn't just integral theory, it was how do we make this real for people, because that's what Janice does. It's back to that heart and hands. Being open to the gifts of the animals that the quadrants represented. And so after that, Nella and I met a number of times and created a framework from Janice's work that we could encapsulate everything that we were doing in the school district. So it had a profound impact on students and our staff. And when I thought about what I wanted to say today, there was a quote from you, Janice, not long ago, and it said, being open to all of the gifts of the 4 quadrants and the animals that they represent is when we all see change. And you also said that each situation requires us to take the characteristics of different animals depending on the situation in order to improve the learning for students. And so what I want to do is just to talk a little bit about you and in relationship to the 4 quadrants. And one of the first animal I'm going to talk about is bear. And bear is self-aware, makes meaning, is creative and purposeful. And if you've ever sat in a meeting with Janice to create something, you have to go back to purpose. It's that centered piece that she starts from, and then everything explodes. She is the most creative person I've ever worked with, because when you walk in that room with her, you come out a different person. Your thinking changes. You go from small ideas to big ideas, and it's all from what Janice has as a person that she brings to whatever the situation is. Wolf is the second. And Wolf is about relationships, the characteristics of community, respect, and reciprocity. And when you think of Wolf and relationships, we're all here because of the relationship that we have with this amazing woman. Bob, where are you? Sophia, we thank you for sharing your wonderful mother and wife with us all, because the relationships that we've developed with Janice have allowed us to go on and do things for me that I could never have done without you. And it's that close relationship that allows you to take risks in the work that you do so that you can make a good catch. So that you can make a difference to students. And some of the examples that we've experienced at Camosun around truth and reconciliation, around making the recommendations live and be action, that handpiece. We wouldn't have done it without that relationship with you and you allowing us to take a risk. Raven, cleverness, imagination, skill development. 31 years. 31 years of cleverness and imagination together for our college is Janice's vision. She's had a vision for student success from day one, and it just keeps growing and changing. And with the relationships with other people and the collaboration, it gets stronger and better until we are where we are now. And you're leaving our students in such good stead. What you've done for the college and the students, some of the examples that Lane gave, are incredible, and that will live on. And the last is salmon. Salmon is about navigation, adaptability, decision-making, and courage. You are one of the most courageous people I know. You have helped, I'm going to talk personally, me navigate and be comfortable in situations that I never would have without you. And you know many of the ones I'm talking about. I just trusted in your skills and your heart to have me navigate and put myself out there in ways that I hadn't before. And you also taught us all, and I'm looking at some of the senior team, to just trust the process. It's just going to work. Whether it be here or in community, where we didn't know what we were supposed to do and what we were importantly not supposed to do, and you helped us all navigate that. And that's a pretty powerful thing to do for a person or a community, and you've done that for all of us, Janice. In closing, I just want to say thank you for always being my teacher, my mentor, and most of all, my friend. Your heart is huge as this building, and your hands are always active, and I know we're going to see them active forever in our community, whether it's Camosun community or every other community that you're a member of. Bob, you've got your hands full. This woman is not going to stop, and I'm happy that the two of you will be able to have some more adventures together, and we wish you all the love and happiness in retirement. Thank you so much for everything you've done for all of us here.
I think
Thank
she'll
you.
take June off.
Thank you so much. It's going to be a busy June, Bob. Thank you, Sherry, and thank you also, Carrie, for your words. Of just another, I'm going to put this up, sorry, Sherry. Our next, I'm going to invite in a moment, but I want to invite people. We're not taking a break, my apologies. But please feel free to help yourself to snacks as we, when I'm teaching or facilitating, I say just don't everyone do it at once, but feel free to move out. We're here to have a fun afternoon and share stories and have some snacks and coffee and tea. So please, at your leisure, just help yourself. As Lane mentioned, there was a meeting last week I've heard about from a few people. It sounds like a great meeting with the Wasanich School Board. I'm going to invite Kendra Underwood from the Wasanich School Board to come up, and Denise Sam as well is going to join her, and they'd like to say a few words. I thought they were grabbing snacks. They were taking me literally on the way here.
Oh, yeah. Oh, goodness. It's Rachel Maxine. I've been Rachel Hela, Islam Himsnat, Nesne. Good day, everyone. Good afternoon. This is such a beautiful occasion, and I'm looking around and I'm seeing smiling faces as we're here to honor our dear friend and our esteemed colleague, Janice. I would like to begin by first acknowledging our Elders Advisory that are here today. Our beloved Sam, thank you so much for the beautiful prayer to begin our session, and to Skip, thank you so much for the beautiful welcome. It's wonderful to be here this afternoon, and thank you to the organizers for putting this on, Ruth and Sandy and the team that's gathered us all here today for a beautiful occasion. And some special speeches have already been shared, and those will be hard words to follow, beautiful words that I hope to echo as well. But just to introduce myself, my traditional name is Slamhimtanot, and my English name is Kendra Underwood, and I have the great privilege of working with the Wasanich School Board as director of the Wasanich Adult Education Center. And we have worked for a very, very long time with Camosun College, the Aichwallowin office, and of course our Janice Simcoe. I've been with the Wasanich School Board for the past 16 years, and in those 16 years I've had the amazing opportunity of working with you, Janice, walking alongside you, and you have certainly guided the way in which I do my work and the way in which we work together in partnership. Gosh, I'm really gonna have to suppress some emotions here for me, but you are and you continue to be an Indigenous educational leader that I am in awe of and I am grateful to on a daily basis. Your work, Janice, within the walls of this institution, but throughout our First Nations communities, throughout our Wasanich nations, and in the hearts of our Indigenous learners on and off campus, is lasting work. It is work that is going to be referenced and remembered for decades to come. I will miss working alongside you, your thoughtful pauses, your as we reflect and we innovate, those times that we've sat in my office or your office, Janice, and we've dreamed of programs, of projects, micro-Indigenous transportation projects, micro-business projects. We've just passed some micro-credentials that we're really excited about. But you have such a gentle way of leading, a kind way, an open heart, listening ear, firm when needed, when we're advocating for students and when we're advocating for the needs of our Indigenous communities. On behalf of the Wasanich School Board, I'm really happy to have Janice Simcoe here with us as well. I would just like to thank you on behalf of our board, our administrator, and our team here and our administrative our staff as well. Thank you for working in partnership, for working in relationship, and for working in friendship with us. We appreciate you so much for all of the work that you've done, and we raise our hands very high in appreciation for you today. Janice, this is an exciting time, a new season of life for you, and we wish you all the best as you move forward into the beautiful time with your family and taking on all the passion projects that I know you will be taking on behalf of our First Nations learners and peoples again. So thank you. And I will allow Janice to share a few words as well.
My traditional name is Sikwaltana, Janice Simcoe from the Sartlet First Nation. We have the honor today of holding you up, Janice, our friend, our relative, our loved one. We're here to honor you, embrace you, show you the respect that we have for you. And today I went home, put on a dress. But thank you for those gentle reminders that you give us. We're here to honor you today, Janice. We have a beautiful gift. We kind of contemplated on what was appropriate for today. And I'm glad that she wrapped it in this beautiful blanket as well. Try not to drop it. We thought this was fitting. This is the raven. And the raven in our nation represents a messenger. You've had so many messages that you have passed and shared with a lot of people that are here today. I was a little bit nervous. I was going to steal her notes, actually. I never make notes. I've always been taught to speak from my heart. And I was like saying it's like a family reunion today because I saw my friend Edith come in and I think my mouth dropped a little. I haven't seen you in such a long time, but just all the beautiful faces here, all the beautiful hearts are here today to warm you up, to lift you up, and to give you that respect. Hi, Steph.
I love our beautiful teachings of honoring our connections and uplifting one another in beautiful houses such as this. Also very grateful for our connections with the Wasanich territories, with the school board. So, Haichka. Next up, we have the chair of our Indigenous Advisory of Camosun College, Nella Nelson. And I know she will introduce herself very well. See, I'm not the only one. I tell people, that's Kwakwaki we walk around this way. I will let Nella introduce herself now. Thank you.
Eile Kesla, Nuguan Klapala Seguila Flumaquagila, Gayutla Numlays, Glutakis, Glucomox, Glumuskama Daurina. I'm honored to be here today. My traditional name is Klapala Seguila, which I received from my mother, Ruth Cook's mother, from the Nadanakau, and Maquagila comes from my grandmother, Jane Constant Cook Wanuk, from Takis. Wow, I'm honored to be here today. Alec gives me a nudge and says, remember the fire, walk around this way. But I was just wanted to acknowledge Skip, our old bud from 1972. May, whenever you sing, I literally go into the zone when you hit those certain pitches in your music. And as I was sitting there was a bird that came in. And the bird went all the way around the fire and came through there as counterclockwise, which is Janice's in the direction they do. And we go this way. I went, well, even the birds know that she's been honored today. So that was pretty special, as they say with us. But I am so honored to stand here with Janice. And in 1972, I was sharing that with Camosun, Yuvik. I did start here in 1972 in January in the University Transfer Program. Skip, Philip Paul, Tony Hunt, Dixon Taylor, we're all here. So even 50 years ago, there was at least a presence at Camosun where this institution was already thinking how important it was to have, we were Native Indians then, Native Indian presence in this institution. And Janice and I, we went to this community meeting, early 80s, Janice, where the community, Camosun helped to facilitate that. The community came together to talk about what can we do here at Camosun? What else can they do to reach out to community? And lo and behold, they agreed to hire an individual or put out a position, and Janice was hired. And we started our journey. So I'm going to get into my canoe, Janice, because the 4 animals have gone on a journey. So I in the canoe is when I started to travel with Janice. And I think from the very, very beginning, my heart touched hers and her heart touched mine, and there was just something that we wanted to navigate together. And so we started to travel together in that canoe. And I remember as we started to shake things loose, and we've gone through a few presidents that were a little bit dicey over the years. And because I've been with the council for all of those years, and we had to do a little bit of collaboration. Sometimes, like at UVic, just maybe take them out for lunch and say, well, it's not quite the way we want to travel, right? In a good way. We would do that in a good way, but make our point. So for Janice, it has been absolutely amazing. And I know that Janice has shared very often that provincially, we were probably one of the longest running committees. And we kind of get stuck in our roles, like we'll stay president for 30 years of the committee or whatever. We just keep going. If things are, why wreck it, right? You're traveling. So Janice, and not only that, I thought, well, if I'm going to travel in your canoe on your advisory, maybe there's a time that you can also be on our canoe for the school district. And when the enhancement agreements started to unfold, for some years we ran an enhancement agreement advisory, and we had an internal, which was Gary, who was the chair at that time. And then we went, well, there's a time when you need to switch the direction of the canoe, and we need to have community chairing. So Janice, again, became one of the permanent chairs of our Indigenous advisory for the school district. But not to say that there weren't some difficult times. And I always remember in the canoe, my brother-in-law, Frank Nelson, Zuniquimzis, and I always remember tribal journeys. Alec was busy with the Indigenous games. We'd get in that canoe, and all the canoes left. And we hadn't had a practice on Zuniquimzis. And when we got in there, all the canoes took off, and we're like spinning around like this, but in the harbor. And I went, oh my gosh, we're not even get to Robson Bight. And panicking because we didn't know how to pull together. But Janice, When you were in that canoe, we always knew how we could pull together and travel. And I think the thing that's happened is you listen to community. We knew as we went from being Native Indians to First Nations to Aboriginal to Indigenous to where we are today, every one of those phases required an adjustment in our mind and thinking as we moved along to what are our responsibility and how do we meet the needs of our students and community. So it was always at that realm. And we always say Aboriginal education, Indigenous education is more than beads to Bannock. And you have proved that over and over again at this institution, saying, okay, community, how do we change curriculum? How do we make a difference? What are people saying? How are they coming? And you would always hear that. Not to say we always had rosy times. And I want to say there are many times that I don't know personally what I would have done without you. I would phone Janice and say, my last 2 years were a little bit rough. If it wasn't for Janice, I don't know what I would have done. Because what she provided for me, and that's often what's important in our positions as leaders, is that you need to find someone you can trust, that you can go and say, I'm really struggling professionally, and I need some help, or personally, and you were there for me, as a friend, as a mentor, and as part of my heart. And I remember this, my dad had a teaching one day, George Cook is my father from the Nilgays, and he talked about leadership. And he said, he took this, we had this kind of ugly little beige shag carpet that they used to have. And my dad took a piece of string and he grabbed that string and he said, okay, and he pushed it from behind. And he said, when he was talking about what kind of leader are you? And he talked about that and he pushed the string from behind and it got all tangled up. Then my dad grabbed that string from the front and then he pulled it along and the string straightened right out and he goes, if you walk with your people, then you will be a good leader. And that's what I see in you, Janice. You have walked with your people. And I'm not saying we know, we're not perfect as leaders, administrators. We ruffle the feathers sometimes with our staff because we just go and we want to go and we figure everybody should blaze trails and not eat or sleep or do anything else, but just get her done. And so sometimes that does ruffle feathers and the waters get rough with our staff sometimes. But it's because you have a vision and you have a purpose and you need to get there. And because we feel like we're running out of time sometimes as Indigenous people and like, geez, if we don't get it done, it's not going to happen. We need to have it happen now. So that was always, and I think that was sometimes not always a good thing. We could just spark each other and let's get going. But just honoring that, your relationship with staff. And I think all learning takes place in relationships. And all relations come from our heart. And Janice, I have witnessed that. And as chair of the council, the advisory here, as being our chair for the school district for those many years, as well as in community, that space of heart, ikidanokaye, is so important for connection. And I think we're chair together at University of Victoria. So I said to Janice before, Janice, are you going to stick on with me, be a co-chair at UVic? So she agrees to do it. So that was great. We had a meeting yesterday. Janice says, we're still here. And we will travel together. And I will continue to be here at Camosun because I need to honor your work and continue that as well. And help to guide the canoe in that direction as I can. And I will work with Todd from a good heart. So Janice, we get to have more lunches and you're not so hard to get a hold of now. So, but I truly know from my heart you have been one of the best things that has happened to me personally and professionally. And with all my years at the school district, I seriously don't know what I would have done without you because you were so much a professional, personal, and a heart support. And I know that whatever you do and whatever you choose to focus on even more as you have, let yourself rest, renovate that kitchen you're talking about, and then you sort of brush yourself off and you go, what can I do again? Because we are taught, and you were taught by your dad and community, that you will always give back to community. Ayala Kesa.
Little bit of pushback over there. 2 weeks ago, I think it was the last meeting I was in with Janice where I was chairing. And I'm saying this because Nella walked around here and up and down the coast and in our Kwakwaka'wakw houses, Gutesies for sure, big houses. This is the way we go. So when I facilitate in the modern world, in my professional world, this is the way we go. But at that last indigenization committee, boy, we went Anishinaabe way. That's the last one. So we have some words from college members coming up, but I just wanted to just quickly say, I don't think I introduced myself as the indigenization coordinator, but I've been with the college off and on for more than 20 years. And I remember when I was an advisor, and Janine Cooper sitting over there, wonderful to see you. I don't know how many times I walked into Janice's office, or just outside her door and said, I just have a quick question. And it could be 4:30 or 5, well, maybe not because I was a single mom, but maybe it was a bit, but there were times where we sat together for an hour and a half and answered my quick question. And when we meet, especially lately, I think it was a bit more business this last couple of months as she's on her, just these hour and a half chats. And I always appreciated those, making the time to have those conversations. We're orators. We are orators, and we're doing our best. And like I said, I'm doing my best to go against my teachings and keep us on track. So I'll leave it there. But with that, we have some words from our Vice President, and then Ian, and then Todd and Jackie. So at this time, I'm going to invite our Vice President of Education of Camosun College and our dear friend, John Boris, to come embarrass Janice some more. I think he's going to do a really good job, too.
Thanks for Janice. I think we've been in denial about today and what's happening for the past months. You know, I came to Camosun 22 years ago and knew Janice about 4 or 5 years before that because we attended some of the same provincial meetings. And I sort of think of life in terms of before Janice and after Janice, because she's had such an impact on me and on the institution that we both love and the students that we have felt so privileged to serve. And Janice has been a teacher. It's pretty easy to look at me to know that I'm one of those allies that has a lot to learn. And Janice has always been someone who guides, who listens with her whole body. Somebody who just sinks in and listens and asks questions. And I think it was you, Sherry, that talked about becoming different because of Janice. And I think that's probably one of the great strengths that Janice has brought, one of the many, is not only her hard work, and I agree, Bob, I think the only difference that's going to happen is that Janice won't be paid anymore. But but apparently there's a plot afoot to make use of her in a continued way. But the real beautiful thing that Janice has done is to seed the passions and the hearts of so many other people. And so Camosun, the Victoria community, education across the province has been changed by Janice's contributions and the work that she's done. You know, I remember, mostly I think of Janice and think of love and wisdom, but I've also experienced cranky Janice as well. And I've had a few stern talkings too, that always started out with me not quite realizing that I was in trouble. But there came a point where I have some rethinking to do. But, you know, as Janice navigates and works as a strong woman, there's always the feeling that you're part of learning something important, and that what's happening really is really the best example of education and of how we all maintain a learning journey. And I'm always going to be grateful for that, Janice. The work in Indigenous education that Janice has completed has gone the full gamut from service to community, peeling potatoes, making bannock, certainly, thanks Ruth. It's been sorting out dinners, meals for students. It's been, and so there's the very honest and authentic role of being part of community, of using her hands, of understanding with her head and her heart what needs to be done, but then being willing to do it. And that gift is a forever gift. It's something that has taught all of us to maintain our knowledge of service and contribution and different ways of showing care. I am aware of Janice's incredible accomplishments at the college. A few people have mentioned that, 25 years ago, Janice was pretty much the only member of the Indigenous Education Department. And today there's around 30. There were days where the number of Indigenous students numbered less than 100, and now it numbers closer to 1,300. The ripples go beyond that. Are you kicking me out? No. I thought I was getting this paid there. That's right. I truly could go on forever about Janice, and the gifts that you've brought include indigenization. They include the beautiful pedagogy of Martin Brokenleg. They bring so many gifts to the college that I really could go on and on. The gifts of students who are holding their heads high, and who Janice has contributed to a real sense of capability and strength that is another ongoing gift. And I can see some of those students around the room and people who were students who have shared in the blessings that Janice brings. So from peeling potatoes to attending provincial meetings, you've accomplished the gamut, Janice, and you have been a blessing to the college, and I would say that this whole room loves you dearly and will always be on your side. So thank you, Janice.
I'm going to keep it up here because Ian is joining us next. Thank you, John.
Glasses on, it's getting older things, just great. Hi everyone, welcome. I just, out of respect and recognition for the relationship Indigenous peoples have had in these lands for thousands of years, just want to acknowledge I'm a visitor on the traditional territories of the Kwanglen and Wasanich peoples, and it's a great privilege. Thank you for the gracious welcome. My name is Ian Humphries. I'm Dean for the School of Access. I've had the great honor of working closely with Janice over the last 8 years or so. I wanted to thank you, Janice, for some of the amazing teachings you have shared with me over the years. First and foremost, like speaking from your heart. I'm trying not to review my crib notes here too much today, but I was always amazed, and there's evidence today, there's some amazing speakers in this place, and it's a tough act to follow all these folks getting up, but thank you for that. Thinking about kids and their future, and it's why we do what we do. I think we have, multiple generations into the future, incredibly impactful. One of my favorites is, well, it's just going to work out the way it's meant to work out. It'll be what it'll be. Don't get all worried about something going sideways, but Janice will just go, no, this is how it's supposed to go. And then there's the apple a day piece. I'm not sure if it's just me. Every time I'm in a meeting with Janice, she's got an apple. Is that just me, or has she got an apple for every meeting? I'm trying it to kind of health and wellness. I think she truly embodies the values of Ichqualawan, the commitment, the humility, the passion for the work, the love, just amazing values. It's been a real privilege to work alongside you. She's tireless. So many a Friday late afternoon, I'd be walking out of the building, and sure enough, there were Janice would still be in her office working away. She didn't do so good at some of those 8:30 a.m. meetings, but man, she could work late into the evening many times. As our colleague Graham Smith from New Zealand would say, you've got blisters on your hands from working so hard. So, and eloquent is another word that comes to mind. I think Sylvia in our Indigenization committee the other day, she made reference to Janice being able to turn words into pictures, and that really stuck with me. And I think I remember some of our early board presentations that we're going to report out on the TRC, etc. I'm very concrete, sequential. Generally, Janice has been referenced earlier, a big thinker. So we're getting set up to do the PowerPoint presentation. And I'm thinking, well, more than 7 bullets on a slide and things like that. And Janice is going, well, we should just do it all with pictures. Fill the whole thing with pictures. And I'm going, well, then I don't have anything to read off. I can't read the slides, Janice. But no, we went with Janice's approach and went with the pictures, and it worked out really well. So, there are some pictures up on the wall, and thanks to Manuel, and thanks for Sandy for providing them. On this wall over here, you may have not got to see, depending on which way you came into the Natsumet today, but they kind of reflect on 31 years, I guess, of Janice at the college. And there's a young John Boras in there. It looks very different. There's some pictures of folks, and Sandy and Janice from younger years, so make sure you get a chance to have a look at those if you can. And they're really telling, and they kind of they show the impact that you've had on the individuals here, students, faculty, staff, all of us, and just a heartfelt thank you for all your amazing work. I've got here, I wanted to make sure you had this. This is kind of a collection of the pictures that are on the wall, and we just put them in a little book format, so thanks to the print shop and others for supporting that work. But thanks from the bottom of my heart for all your amazing contributions. It's been wonderful.
Thank you, Ian. Oh, Kalanike. I think Nella was saying this earlier. That's our word in Kwakwa. We say, my heart is very, very happy. How's everyone doing? Good, good. We're doing well. We're doing well. Such beautiful words and sentiments for our loved one, Janice. Next, we have up so I don't know if people knew, so Janice is retiring as director of Ichqualawan. And Ichqualawan, of course, is shared to us by dear Elmer George to mean good heart, good mind, good heart, good feelings. And Janice has always been incredibly awesome at just reminding us of the meaning of those words and ensuring that we move forward in good ways and that we carry those words in all of our work. And I'm just really enjoying just all these beautiful words shared. Next, we have our making an announcement, not to pull too much away from Janice, as our new executive, not till Monday. Is it? I don't know, anyway. Sometime. Executive Director of Aichqualin, Todd Ormiston, and he's going to come up and share a few words with his partner Jackie Green. So, and I'm sure they'll introduce themselves more. So, Todd, please.
Wasa Yete, Docha Natli, Chukwia Kandok, Gadastis. Hello, everybody. In my broken Tlingit language, I say good afternoon. My traditional name is Nutley, which means new beginnings. I am Northern Shoshone on my mother's side from Ross River in the Yukon, and Tlingit on my father's side from Yakutat, Alaska. I'm honored to be standing here with my partner, Jackie Green Kundok, and I'm really, really honored to be a part of this ceremony. I'm very nervous. I'm stepping into such big shoes, but I just want to acknowledge as I look around this beautiful space in Natsamat, all of you that are here to honor Janice. I see students, I see former students, I see colleagues, I see retired colleagues, I see presidents, I see relatives of Janice. And I think about the journey over the last 22 years that I've been working here at Camosun. But I also think about before that. And in 1996, I came, similar to Ruth, I came here as a student. And I came down from the Yukon, and I was very nervous about being at Camosun. And I do remember that at the time, Janice Simcoe, Ruth Lyle, and Sandy Mitchell were the three workers in Indigenous education. And Janice came out and she introduced herself. And she was so gracious and so kind. And I remember this. And for years after that, for about 5 years after that, you were so engaging with students. When I applied to work here in 2001, I remember saying to Janice, I always appreciated you recognizing me and acknowledging me since 1996. The only thing you need to know is my name is not Troy, it's Todd. So, with that in mind, I think about so many beautiful things that Janice has taught me over the years, and so much has been said by so many people. One of the things that in 2010, after working with Janice and seeing what you have built within Aichqualin, I sat down and I interviewed Janice, I interviewed Nella, and my intent was to write, because I've been doing a fair bit of writing over the last 12 years, it was to write a book, and I still have to do this, but to write a book that honors the teachings of women in education that have paved the way, pioneered where we're at today in education. So I hold my hands up, Nella, I hold my hands up to Janice for some of those teachings. I'm just going to share a couple of those that I learned because I was reflecting on this and reading them last night on my computer at about midnight. I also want to acknowledge our old ones. Skip, May, those that could not be with us today. I acknowledge as well those that we've lost recently. You are such an inspiration. And you also created the pathways for us to be here today. So real quickly, I'll just mention that one of the things I did not know about Janice over the years, and people have mentioned that she started school here in 1973, I think it is. We were reminiscing at lunchtime today. It was so nice to go for lunch with you too, Janice, and I intended to buy Janice a lunch, but I wear shorts all the time. And today, I'm wearing long pants, so I left my wallet in my shorts. Thank you for lunch, Janice. We were reminiscing about her time at Camosun College back in 1973. And if I'm correct, I remember hearing that Nella started around 1972. Okay. And just thinking about that journey, at the time, Skip was the counselor working here at Camosun College. I'm actually looking for Skip. Oh, thank you. You're the counselor. And you were part of a college that was starting to evolve in Indigenous education. Fast forward to the 1980s. And Janice, I think you were doing a university transfer. You came back in the 1980s to do some schooling. By that time, you were also, and I didn't know this, that you were a barber, working as a barber downtown. You met this fellow named Bob. And I say all of this because this is so important to connect the past to the present. And I think about the future. When I was interviewing you back in 2011, you talked about how Indigenous education evolves from our hearts. It evolves from the land, and it is part of our soul. And I've watched you in the journey over 21 years being here. And I've seen what you've grown based on that. Many of you know that I'm part of the 60 Scoop. I've written a lot lately about coming to know through education, this journey of education. Janice, you've helped me to understand who I am, to help others in this room understand who they are, and to believe what is possible. I realize the enormous responsibility I'm taking on for what you've built, Janice. We have a Tlingit saying that says, Hasha Gainia, Yunga Danik. You carry the values and you walk with dignity. Janice, you've taught us so much around this. You've believed in all of us that are in this room. For that, I say Masi Cho. There's so much gratitude I have for what you've taught me over the years. There was people talking here about some of the menial work that you've done, and you've talked about the importance of menial work everyday acts. And I think it was John talking about making Bannock. I know that you've done things, you've set up so many endowments behind the scenes. You've been out in the canoe. People have talked about the canoe, and you've been out in the canoe. Yes, you make fry bread like nobody else can make fry bread, right there. And I think about all of these things that you've done and how you've taught me to do those things in a good way. You give with heart, mind, and spirit. In terms of one of the things that I always have remembered to do, and I remember in a PowerPoint presentation, Janice likes to demilitarize language. Many of you know that. So we have to be really careful about using certain words. And Janice has taught us, and she gives us that kind of that evil eye if we use certain language. Well, I was in a presentation last week on the Indigenous Community Wellness Program that we're redeveloping, and I had done 3 errors within 1 slide, but I thought about Janice. And in that slide, I talked about that in this bullet, I want to target the stakeholders. So, I could feel your eyes looking at me. I know it's kind of a secret, but Janice and I are going to meet a few more times next week in transition. And I know that you've meant so much to me. I know I have big shoes to fill. I want to acknowledge, as others have said here, about the integral model, about teachings. And I memorized 3 or 4, but I'm just going to acknowledge, as part of your Anishinaabe teachings, the elements that I need to always remember as I move and walk forward. We have a saying in Tlingit, Hashagainya, that's spiritual renewal, but I acknowledge the 7 grandfather teachings here today, and that I need to be walking in those ways that you have. They include humility, bravery, honesty, wisdom, truth, respect, and love. Hands and hearts. You work so much with your hands. You have such a big heart. I love you. Masicho.
Wa hey mas musmiji angwa kanu ando kanu helkinu wa Wasanich wa lakwangin wa esquimalt. I would like to begin by thanking Auntie May for starting us off in a good way. I love you so much, and we always feel so cared for when you're here. Thank you to Skip for welcoming us and always teaching us the protocols, always teaching us how to use our own teachings. We appreciate that because we're all still learning and coming to know. I didn't expect today to remember the sadness last year of the 250 loved ones, and so I want to honor the families as well, and the community, and their ceremonies that they have for this. My feast hall name is Kandoch. It was given to my parents on their wedding day for their firstborn daughter. Kandoch means journeying over the mountain with belongings on my back. It's a Tsimshian name. It was given to my parents from the late Walter Wright. Late Walter Wright is the brother of the 7 sisters in the Tsimshian territory. I always thought it was interesting. I didn't grow up knowing my name and my teachings. Both my parents attended residential school. They wanted to protect me as a student. They didn't want me to be punished in the way they were when they were students at the residential school. I am fortunate that it came full circle for me that I was able to do my final study of my PhD with both my parents, and my PhD was Haisla Nuyam, Relearning Our Ways, and so it gave us an opportunity to come back and relearn. I say that because in part of our studies, Janice, what comes to mind for me today was the number of times we had the armchair discussions, when we would take turns having readings on critical theory or whatever, trying to make sense of it for ourselves, and what does that have to do with our people and our ways, and how do we build Indigenous education. And that stands to my mind and my heart today, because those discussions, even though it was for our own studies, it was for how we are as leaders and what we need to do. We always need to be in translation of the Institute and our own teachings, and how do we bring those two together. I heard the analogy of the canoe, and I loved that. And one of the things Todd wrote about in his dissertation was his canoe journey, and I believe the saying was, point your canoe and don't look back. And so I feel that when I think of today, of where we all are, it's incredible. It's incredible, because I remember as a student not even imagining college, not even imagining a university, not even imagining being a faculty member, and now I look. And so we've overcome a lot, and thank you to you and Nella for your pioneer work. And I want to include Rabina in that, because she mentored me in all of this work. Because of the work you did, it made it a little bit easier for us when we were studying. And the work that we're doing now is making it a little bit easier for our students who are coming in. And that's what we've got to keep doing. And I want to close with a vision that we talked about when we were having those armchair discussions, is that one day we'll have our own institute on this island, that where we can graduate students with a degree and our teachings in our ways, and also to be able to work with other institutes and governments to strengthen the leadership of our people with our culture, with our teachings, and our ceremonies. So I still have that vision, and I still remember it, and one day we'll get there. Maybe I won't get to see it, but our babies will be able to see it. So Janice, you're such a wonderful leader. I just appreciate your heart, your mind, and all that you do. And thank you for welcoming me to this college when I was here teaching as well. So I just want to hold my hands up to you. I love you so much. And he's pulled that trick on me many times too, where he forgot his wallet. It's not you. Thank you, Janice.
Thank you to Todd and Jackie. We're doing okay here. Not the 1 a.m. Who said 1 a.m.? Okay, yeah, no, not 1 a.m. We have a song, and then we'll have some special words from a special somebody. Are you ready? I didn't know if I needed to stall as she prepared. These musicians, you know, they can be divas. Just kidding. Our dear Sandy Mitchell has a song to share. Yes? Okay.
I'm having this thought in the back of my head thinking, what was I thinking? I'm getting up to sing at my dear colleague, best friend retirement, and I'm going to try really hard to hold myself together. My name is Sandy Mitchell. Sandy Mitchell Navijnakas, Mikasi Odana, Minwa Nipissing Nadonjaba, Makwanendo Dam Nashnabe Kwe, I just want to acknowledge that I'm a guest here in this territory, and I'm just so grateful to be a guest in this territory and the relationships that I have. I have worked with Janice for 25 years. 25 years, my whole career, I have worked with this beautiful human. And I feel, honestly, I feel so incredibly, incredibly, incredibly blessed to have had the opportunity to walk alongside Janice for 25 years in my career. How lucky am I? Like I can't tell you just the teachings that she's given me. She's helped me. I've sobbed on her shoulder many times. She's supported me through my career, and she's been a really good friend, and just you hold a sacred, sacred, sacred place in my heart, Janice. I love you, and I will always love you forever and ever. And I've got this little song I just want to share. I was listening to the radio one day, and one of my favorite people came on, and so I took her song, and I've changed the words. I'm using her music. Patty Griffin is her name, and I've changed the words, and I've written this little song that I just want to share here. It's kind of fun, and here we go. And this is my friend Al. He's my musician friend who's backing me up today.
That's a catchy tune. I must be singing it Monday morning to myself. Yeah. Thank you, Sandy. That was beautiful. We have a couple more speakers and one something that we want to do, and we may go a couple minutes over, but we're doing really, really well here. And this next person that is going to come up and speak, I have known since she was a girl. I don't know how old she was when I was 2000 when I started at the college 22 years ago, but she has been part of Janice's family from the get-go, but she's been part of our Cuolin family and will always be a part of our Cuolin family. I'm going to invite Janice's daughter, Sophia, up to please come share a few words.
Thank you, Bruce. I should have said earlier that live music almost always makes me cry, so now my voice is all goofy, but that's okay. Especially when it's that sweet. Oh, Sandy. My name is Sophia. Bonjour. Sophia Nindunjikakas, Gugoko Nindunjikakas, Nishnabemo, Nunjikin Nindunjaba, Wawashkishi and Yode. Hi, my name is Sophia Rogowski. My spirit name is Kikoko. I'm Ojibwe from Rama First Nation. I also have Polish, Ukrainian, Irish, and unidentified British Isles heritage. And yes, I have been Janice's child for 35 and a half years now. I want to acknowledge the territory that we're on today. I want to acknowledge our old ones that have joined us today. I am going to be using some notes because I'm a little bit nervous and I'm a little rusty with my public speaking, but this does come from the heart. I want to acknowledge I walked in here and I've been looking at the crowd and I'm seeing a whole bunch of OGs. For those of you who don't know, that's original gangsters. These are people that have been around since the early days of my mom's career. I see Janine is here. What a beautiful sight to see. I see Shelly, I see Ralph, I see Carter. I see folks that I've known since I was like that big. So really, really cool. And thank you for all of you who have come here today, whether or not you're still working at the college, to support my mom. And of course, the OG of OGs, Skip. Skip was my mom's Indigenous advisor in the 1970s here at Camosun. So you and your family have played an unspeakable, it's very difficult to put into words the role that you have played in my mom's life. And that reverberates from her out to everyone else that she has worked with. So, Chimigwech, thank you. So I thought I should start in the long ago, before beautiful Natsamat was built, before our department was built. My late grandfather, Leonard Simcoe, was born in 1922. When he was a young man, Indians were not considered people by Canada yet. Legally, we were less than everyone else. My grandpa was barred from attending university, like all of us were, until the 1960s. For my non-Indigenous friends in the audience, I would like you to imagine living in a country that will allow you to spill your blood in their wars. Imagine living in a country that would attempt to take away your kids in order to supposedly educate them, and that same country won't let you or those children go to post-secondary. My mom was born in a time before we were people in the eyes of Canada. As she grew up, little by little, things began to change. My grandpa gave her and my Auntie Mary a mission. Oh, I shouldn't say mission, Todd reminded me, a quest. A quest. Go to university and do something to make things better for our people. In 1987, my mom was, as far as we know, the sole Native grad student at the University of Victoria. That year I was born. She took a maternity leave of approximately 2.5 weeks and got right back to school. Nothing was going to stop her from working on the quest that she had been given. But the system wasn't ready for someone like my mom. During that first stint at grad school, the system failed her, but she didn't let that stop her either. She pressed forward. When I was 4, I walked into my living room and found my mom on the phone. She hung up and she leapt into the air. And that wasn't something I was used to seeing my mom do, you know? She's a passionate person, but she's also kind of a reserved person, so it was odd. I wondered what it meant. And she let out a holler of joy. And I know now that was the call from Camosun telling her she had gotten the job. And in that moment, her life and our lives as our family and the college itself were about to change forever. There's countless stories from the 31 years since then. I have visions of bathtubs full of thawing salmon for the feast. Staying at my babysitter's until 11 a.m. feeling very crabby that my mom has to be in an important art auction that she used to help build the cultural center over there. I was a little kid, I didn't know how much it mattered back then. So in those 31 years, my mom gave a lot of people a lot of chances. And that's something that I really wanted to highlight today. She gave me a chance, and the people that she worked with gave me a chance. I started as a temp, just doing secretary work. Doreen gave me a chance, and I was doing a little bit of work, sitting at the front desk one day. My mom, Janice, came into the office and told Tommy, one of our former faculty members, that she needed someone to lead a project that had to do with Indigenous art and empowering Indigenous women. And Tommy just looked at me and he went, "What about her?" and that was that's one of the ways that Chihuahuan has done things over the years that my mom has been leading it, is we look for the people who have gifts that may have not been given the chance to allow those gifts to truly become honed, to truly become what they are meant to be, to contribute to our people and our society. So that's something that I hope will continue with Camosun as a whole, that people are given a chance to show what they can do. Sorry, just one sec. So my mom has worked every day of her life to fulfill the quest given to her. I shouldn't neglect to mention that her older sister, my Auntie Mary, has also done the same. She's worked every day. While my mom was here looking after the adult students, my auntie was working with the little ones, the little precious ones, trying to help make sure that they get started off in their life in a good way. And I know in my spirit that my late grandpa is looking down on us. My people, we go back to the stars, that's where we came from. And I know that my grandpa's up there, and that he's looking down on his daughters with such pride. And he knows that they're doing the good work that they were meant to do. So, the work that my mom has done, Camosun has enabled the system to be more prepared for students like her, more prepared for students like me, and for the next generation of young Indigenous learners and all those that come after us. So I'm so grateful for her. I have just one other little thing to share about our family life here on the island, here connected to this college. When my mom and my older auntie were little kids and they were getting to be school age, my grandpa came out here. He was a traveling preacher, and he sat with a man from Dididat from the Thompson family. And that man offered safe shelter to our family. So we traveled from Manitoba, Barons River. In 1959, we came up west here to Vancouver Island, and were given shelter and safety. And many years later, that man who invited my grandpa, his grandson Art Thompson, took us up, became my mother's mentor, and made Bukbila, our beautiful welcoming figure, shared with us the beautiful logo for Chihuahuan. And then many years after that, his daughter, Carmen Thompson, mentored me in art. And that connection, there's 3 generations of connection between our family and the Thompsons. The Thompsons are of this beautiful island. So
I just wanted to, I wanted to speak to that today because it is profound to me, and I don't know where our family would be if we hadn't been welcomed to this place. So, Shinigwech to everyone who's from here, who's embraced us, and we'll continue to do what we can to be good visitors here. And I love you, Mom, because I met you, Mama. And thank you for me.
Thank you so much, Sophia. I don't think we can also move on with either acknowledging, as Sophia was sharing, I was remembering how many times I've driven to Janice's house with a carload, or maybe there's two of us, and Bob's there waiting, going, where the heck is this supposed to go? We had a couple community partnerships where we had dishes and books and kettles, and where are we going to put these? We're going to put them in Janice's house. I know this from the Victoria Cloghill Urban Society days. I was the holder of this storage, but Bob has always had a smile on his face going, I don't know where, we'll find a place. And how many times at the Songhees Big House we've had how many of our Indigenous student welcome feasts there, and how many times I showed up to flour all over people, and Bob there get with his sleeves up and in there. So I don't think we can not acknowledge both the sacrifices of both Bob and Sophia and other family and loved ones, for the many, as anyone who works with Janice knows, how many dinners were missed. And so I just really want to acknowledge Sophia and Bob for the sacrifices that you made for us to have Janice. With that, as promised, we've got Janice. Would you come and please stand? And I'm going to invite May up and some singers. Yes? Aichwalo singers, please come join. Following what's happening now, we just have words from one. I'm going to actually, I know her first name. But after this, Edith Loring Topanga, who I understand was on Janice's hiring committee, has asked to come up and share a few words. But right now, we have something special to do for Janice.
So, our lovely dear May is she's wanted to blanket Janice. So that's what's going to happen. And while Janice is getting blanketed by our dear May, the Aichwalawan singers are going to sing, and we're going to sing a song that was dreamt about by Bradley Dick. Bradley Dick had a dream one night that all these women showed up at the legislature singing this song, and the next day he recorded the song, and he went to his elders, and he ended up having a big feast and gifting this song to a bunch of women in our community, including myself. I felt really honored that I was part of that. And this song is to honor really, really beautiful, important women in our community. And that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to honor Janice. And we're going to sing that song for Janice, just to hold you up, Janice, and to honor you for your beauty, your beauty.
So we're going to hear a couple words from Janice, and then we're going to, we can mingle and visit, and during that time Edith can come and share a couple words, but what a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful afternoon it has been to honor our mother, our auntie, our cousin, our friend, our colleague, our sister, who I know will always be a member of Aichquo, and I know, or I believe, that this next journey will be a balanced one that will continue with good work. And I'm just so happy to have had the opportunity, Janice, and just give you an opportunity to share what you'd like to share.
Thank you, Ruth. And hello, everybody. Skip and May, Nella, Alex, and all my friends. As I've been watching today what I could see, my whole past 30 years has walked through this building. My old friend Daryl, we were Lone Rangers a long time ago. Him in the ministry and me here and a few other little lone wolves around in other places. And now we walked, and then I've got my old friend Tate there. Talk about, she was ahead of us all, working in post-secondary at the old Malaspina College, all by herself. There wasn't even any kind of system. And we learned so much from you. So I think everybody in this room, I can say we've learned and learned and learned and learned and learned and learned. And the point of it all has been students, because who are students? Well, they come from community, they are community, they go back and be community. So what are we doing except looking after that? So I'm seeing some of the people in the room who are students or were students, and just being able to watch your sacred journeys in becoming, that's what all of this has been about. I was talking to Todd earlier at the lunch that I bought him. And I was talking about education is actually sacred. Because we were talking about there being so many harms in the world. Harms in the past and harms in the present. And we know that there'll be harms in the future. So what can we do? The only thing we can do is educate. So that's what the last 31 years has been about. That's what my husband Bob and my daughter Sophia have given away so much family time to be able to support. And then the rest of you who are here, my community colleagues and teachers, past and present, who have been part of this work. And then the community of Camosun College. It's all been about that sacred duty, and I know it'll carry on, you know, as I'm doing whatever I'm going to do next. So I feel incredibly grateful and honored by this ceremony and by the past 31 and a half years of being permitted this privilege of doing this work. So thank you for all of those hands that reached out, all of those paddles that we held together. It's big canoes out here, you can't do it by yourself. And man, I've had a good time here at Camosun College. Chimigwech.
There's an open mic list, I think, that people are now, okay, but I am going to apologize. We have Michael Glover from the Camosun College Student Society. Did I pronounce it? Did I say something? Oh, my apologies. Michelle Turcotte, my apologies. Okay. Okay, my apologies. Please come up. I, from the Camosun College Student Society, have some words and I believe a gift to present to Janice. And it looks like some students. Please. Oh, look at you. What is this? It's Ishnable Day.
You know, I have to say I've been here almost as well, practically as many years as Janice has, and I got to know her from the beginning when she first became the director, and so it gives me great pleasure to be here for her retirement. Although it is a sad moment for both the Camosun students, for many Camosun students, and also for the Camosun College Student Society, as we have worked very closely with her and her department over many years and watched it grow. At the same time as it's grown, I mean, the CCSS has grown, and that partnership has always fostered. I mean, I remember we used to have elders dinners back in the day, and numerous other things, and the welcome feasts that exist now are amazing partnerships. But it's quite a moving moment, and we are Richard and Alicia and Katie, sorry, are going to present you with a beautiful piece of art from Carrie Newman. It's that yes. And so. If we had a camera, this is a beautiful heart in the hand silver piece by Carrie Newman. I would like to invite Edith up to share a few words.
Thank you. So as was mentioned, yes, I had the privilege to be on the hiring committee with Janice when we interviewed her. Back in, I believe it was 1990, was it, Janice, or 1989? 91. And so I think Janice reminded me that Karen and myself were basically the only two First Nations people working at Camosun at that time. When late Philip Paul and Skip and all of them were here in the 70s with Nella and all of them, that was a booming time, that there was a lot of funding put into Aboriginal education in the 70s. But it was seed money. It wasn't core funding for the college. And as a result of that, as soon as that seed money ran out, all those programs stopped. And so we didn't have anything at Camosun College for a number of years. And so when I came on as an instructor at Camosun, I think it was in 1987, and we set up the Aboriginal Education Committee. And our president at the time, Dan, really, we lobbied, I met with him many, many times to ask about trying to get an Aboriginal Education Council going at the college and to really look at how we could try to increase the Aboriginal student population. So I was part of the Liberal, I think it was the Department of the Liberal Arts and Access at that point, one of the faculty members. And so I went to John, who was my director, and said, we need to hire an Aboriginal person if we're going to actually do anything with Aboriginal education at Camosun. He finally agreed with me. Him and I went down to the Ministry of Advanced Education, and we put together this plan that we needed to hire an Aboriginal person to head off education at Camosun. And so we put the ad out. We managed to get the funding, and at that point, they were only going to allow us to do it for seed funding for 5 years. They were not willing to put it into a core budget. And so we kept lobbying and brought on some of the community partners, and we were able to convince them that we needed to have it as full funding within the college. So we got the ad out, Janice applied. I remember when at the interview, Janice was just starting her master's degree, I believe, in history. And I was like, wow, this woman can rewrite history. And she has. She has rewritten history at Camosun. And that's what I saw in Janice. And I know that at the college at the time it was a master's degree. You had to have a master's degree in order to get on as a full faculty member. But I really saw that Janice had a vision, that she had a vision for Camosun College, that she had a vision to be able to reach out to the communities and to build partnerships. And I felt strongly that we needed to, even though she didn't have her master's completed, that we needed to give her the opportunity. And I'm just so thankful at the time that John and Dan and the community partners who were at the table really agreed. And I look back now, Janice, and think 3 decades that you have dedicated your life to Camosun and to the communities and to the students. You know, I'm just, to see your daughter up here and for her to be able to benefit from some of the work that you have done is pretty special. It's pretty special. So, over the years, I left Camosun shortly after that, partly because I kind of felt, I wasn't sure whether this institution was going to be really, flexible and be able to really build sort of that Aboriginal, the culture and recognition and really do that. And so I decided to leave the college shortly after. But I want to just say that, at the time we only had a few programs going, mostly upgrading programs. There weren't really any other programs. So I would just want to say, Janice, what you have been able to accomplish in the 3 decades that you have been here, has been phenomenal. And I have watched from a distance. I haven't been too actively involved in the years since I left Camosun. But when I see that some of the work that your daughter has been able to receive some of those blessings from your work, that's pretty incredible. I also want to say that my son also had some great blessings. Shane Baker, some of you might know, who was at Camosun for the last 3 years. And I remember that when he came up, inclusion, my son is visually impaired. And so inclusion was a thing that Camosun bragged about, but we didn't really see a lot of. And I said to him, you need to go and see Sherry, or the president, and you need to go and see Janice. And you need to be able to let them know what you need as a visually impaired student in order to make sure that Camosun is accessible and that you can get an education just like anybody else. And so, Janice, on behalf of my son and myself, I want to say thank you, because I know the work that you did also benefited him as well. So thank you for that as well. So, so I was, actually I didn't even really, Janice told me a while ago that she was graduating a couple of weeks ago, and then Sandy reached out. But I want to recognize Janice. I organized an Aboriginal Woman in Leadership Conference for 10 years across Canada. And we awarded Women of Distinction Awards to women that were real leaders in their community. And so I went to my safety deposit box, and I realized that I had one left of the Woman in Distinction Award. And so I want to, it's a silver pendant. And so I want to award Janice with that. And what it is we initiated it in 2002, and we ran it up until 2009. And it was for women, Aboriginal women, for their leadership achievements, innovations, creativity, excellence, inspiration, and vision in their lives, their families, their work, and their community. And so some of the recipients have been like Deputy Premier Carol James and Chief Kim Biard, along with many others. And so, Janice, that's what you have done here at Camosun, and I felt that you need to have this last one. So, thank you.
Thank you so much, Edith. As we're wrapping up our day, I need to acknowledge that as I look around, what is that term that Sophia said? The OGs, is that it? Something gangsters? Is it old school or original? Okay. I'm just trying to be hip here and failing miserably. As I look around this beautiful room, I want to acknowledge that we have some OGs, is that, if I get it right? Seeing Bradley here today, who's shared so many songs with us. Onawa from the Faculty of Education up at UVic. Shelley Cardinal, with Janice's long-standing connect through the board of the Victoria Native Friendship Center, but also Camosun College and Ishkolin have had long-time partnerships, community partnerships with the Victoria Native Friendship Center. Daryl McLeod, who was a faculty member with us a few years ago. So many people, as I look around, we had, I don't see her now, but it's from the Métis Nation of Greater Victoria. Janice always ensured to honor our local nations as well as our Indigenous students from near and far. And if we had time for everyone to get up and share, we would certainly be here till 1 a.m. So I apologize that if there's those who wanted to share words and we didn't have an opportunity to, please stay and let's mingle and share some words. I just want to thank, I've got Doreen here who wants to share a couple words, and then we're going to, I just want to just say how wonderful it's been this afternoon and to just listen to all the stories. So Doreen approached me about 2 minutes. I just need 30 seconds. Just 30 seconds, I want to say. It's like, okay. So here is Doreen Provencher.
Those of you who don't who don't know me, I'm not a public speaker. I'm Janice's assistant and other daughter. Little joke we have of adopting me. I've worked with Janice as her assistant for 14 years. So I just wanted to say it's been a pleasure. These 14 years have gone by so fast, and I just wish you all the best, and clicko for your teachings.
I think that there was going to be some more singing, but I am going to invite everyone to stand up, hoot, holler, whatever you want. Let's give it up for Janice Simcoe. I think there's 3 Kukwakiwak in there. I'm wanting to umlala around, but there's going to be some, I think, some singing here. Please travel safely to those who travel. And let's just continue to visit for a little while, have a snack, and while we have a song. Aichka, Elakasla, Gleko, Miigwitch.